Crap. Wasn't ready, guys. Let me still do a countdown, even because I want to. Hello. What's going on, everybody? This is Jedi Master Depaul coming from you live with my co-host. Well, actually, my brother from another mother, my host, my dyad, the man himself, xcoregamerskillz, coming from you live at the Conspiracy Cantina. This is episode 9, and we are here in the flesh going to be talking about a pretty good topic, an amazing movie, and a great topic because a lot of people don't really talk about this one. I think it's an underrated one, but it's a goodie and it surprised a lot of people. So we also have an amazing guest that we are super excited and we all love and we all know and we can't wait to talk to about and to get her perspective on this topic and this discussion right here because it's a banger. So with that, we're going to dive right into this one, and we are going to talk about this episode 9 of the Conspiracy Cantina, Rogue One. So before we dive into that one, I'm going to bring in our special guest. Everybody, you know her, you love her, you see her on TikTok, and she is, you can call her the mom of TikTok, of Star Wars community. So here we go. Emma.
That was quite the welcome.
Hey, you deserve it.
No pressure.
We appreciate you.
I appreciate you guys for having me on.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. It's. I didn't realize we don't have you on so soon. I'm excited. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I love your content. I love your views on things when it comes to TikTok. We most of us have met because of TikTok, and our love for Star Wars has brought us here, and just the fact that we can share this not just on TikTok but on this platform too is amazing, and other platforms as well. So with that, Amber, do us a favor and let the people that's watching let them know where they can find you from.
On TikTok, I'm Amber N Medina, so you can find me there. I am occasionally on Twitter. I used to be super active on Twitter, like pre-TikTok, but I haven't. I just kind of like sneak around on Twitter now. But on Twitter, I'm actually Amber West, so it's different over there. And those are the main two socials that I use. So that's where I can be found.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. So with that, we're gonna go to the next one. xcoregamerskillz, the host with the most. Let the people know where they can find you from, sir.
You can find me right now on TikTok at xcoregamerskillz, and you can also find me on Twitter. I mostly lurk, but if you post something funny, I'll probably reply to it. If you follow me back and I know who you are, I'm probably gonna follow you back. So go ahead. I don't check Twitter all the time though.
Gotcha.
And right now, that's it for me. I've got some stuff in the works. I'm awaiting the funds to be deposited, and I'll be making more content soon.
Awesome. That's always good. So me, myself, and I, Jedi Master Depaul. You can find me on TikTok at Jedi Master Depaul. Also here every bi-weekly Tuesday at the Cantina, discussing a great topic, just like the ones tonight that we'll be talking about. And yeah, I was thinking about getting back on Twitter. Twitter's scary. I'm not like I was like I got attacked from a friend on Twitter. I'm like, bro, chill. So no, Twitter is scary, but it's something else. I get used to Twitter. But yeah, so that's where you can find me on TikTok and here. And this is where we'll be doing our stuff for Star Wars content. So yeah. We're here. So let's go before we dive into this amazing topic of Rogue One and get everybody's opinions and with all the views and everything. Let's go ahead and see who's in the chat. I gotta open this up too, and go over there. So we want to welcome everybody. Oh, we got some people in here already. Nice. Chosen Pumpkin Kim. Hey. Welcome. Thank you. We appreciate you. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for the support. We appreciate you. And also, thanks for the love on TikTok. Good evening. Xanos, what's going on, brother? Always a oldie but goodie. Thank you. Appreciate you. I'm working on my radio host voice, guys. That's all. But yeah, we got some great people in here. Our Cartoon D2, hey, what's going on? Darthman, hey, what's going on? Thank you for showing up. Thank you for showing the love. Yes. No, absolutely. We're good. Peeped it. Yeah, I saw that too when you popped in. I was like, ooh, she got the Canaan. Can Jedi cook? That's, I guess, technically. A little occasional. I mean, looking at it, I mean, he got that stuff seared, but it's okay. So they pull up these real fast. And notes. Awesome. So, episode 9 and the Rogue One. So, we've all have seen Rogue One. If you like Star Wars, we saw it. I mean, for me, I was a little skeptical. I was like, how are they going to, this is not going to be nothing around Jedi. Is it really not going to be around Jedi or the whole typical Star Wars? How are they going to pull this off? And they pulled it off. So, I'm going to go over some of the notes, but like, I was very skeptical about it. At first, I'm like, okay. I'm going there with no expectations. I went there just looking for Star Wars. Didn't know how this was going to bring it on. But with that said, not having any of the traditional characters, this being about the traditional characters in Star Wars, or I should say the Skywalker saga, I was like, all right, let's see who you got. And with that said, out of Rogue One, who's your favorite character in Rogue One? Amber, go ahead.
Yeah, you're the guest.
Ladies first, so you're going
first. I didn't want to just assume. So it's hard because it's such an ensemble piece. But I am very much a Bodhi Rook. Like, he's my favorite. With Chirrut being very close behind. I just, Bodhi's story, kind of like Finn, is so interesting to me because there were regular people serving the Empire. There were regular people doing their regular jobs. And at a certain point, you realize that the people you work for are a lot worse than just unpleasant. And at that point, you have to make a choice. And a lot of people didn't make the choice that he made. And there was nothing to guarantee that choice that he made, that he would even make it. But he saw all the bad and said, I have to do something. And, he could have said, I'm out the minute that Saw's men showed up, because they didn't exactly treat him well, but he didn't. And so he is my favorite character for that. And then obviously Chirrut is amazing. And I have lots of thoughts about how the Force works around and through Chirrut, but I don't want to get too carried away right at the start. So we'll stop there.
So my favorite character is actually K2SO because he's C-3PO on steroids. Like I there's something about a security droid that acts like a protocol droid, and of course it's
Alan Tudyk.
Alan Tudyk. Like, I will watch him probably anything. Like, I was a fan of his before I knew his name. Like, he has the most iconic line of any movie, and I will refer you back to A Knight's Tale, where he says, It's called a Lance. Hello. So yeah, Alan Tudyk could like, if we're not casting like Vin Diesel as Geode, Alan Tudyk could play Geode, and I would watch it.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. That's new one.
Alan Tudyk played a chicken, and he was like one of the best parts of that movie.
It's true.
Okay. All right.
Have you seen Moana?
Moana? Yes.
He's the chicken.
Are you
Hey.
serious?
Yeah, they didn't record a chicken. It's him in the being the chicken.
Shut up.
I'm not. You can't make this shit up.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
He can do literally anything.
Okay. Huh. That's okay. Wow. That's shocking.
He's in Frozen and Zootopia too.
As what?
The Duke of Wesselton in one of them, and
Yep.
he's from Weaselton in the other one.
That's him?
Yes.
Huh.
And obviously, if there are any brown coats in the chat, they're all
Yeah.
big fans of him from Firefly.
Okay, gotcha. Huh. Wow. The more you know. What was that one? Where about that thing at? I need that one. Where's that? There you go.
So who's your favorite?
My favorite. So for Rogue One, my favorite. I mean, I can easily say KOS too. He's funny, but my favorite. It's hard. I would have to go. What's his name? Freaking fracking. I can't remember his name.
Is true.
It's Sexual C. I can't even pronounce it. The blind guy. Sure. Yeah, I like him.
Yeah.
I mean, their chemistry, him and his partner, great chemistry. I love how they go, the banter, everything goes back and forth. But yes, Chirrut, I love Chirrut character in Rogue One. I couldn't stand Tarkin. That show made me really hate Tarkin, like even more.
I think that actor did an excellent job bringing Tarkin to life.
Yeah, he did.
They were originally going to use like voice clips from Peter Cushing, but they liked what he did. He got to keep his voice.
Yeah, but Chirrut, I would say, would be my best. I can't even say Saul. Yeah, it'll be Chirrut out of anybody. Yeah, that's my final answer. But yeah, so that's all. Okay, cool. So we went over the favorite characters, favorite scene.
That one was really hard because I find that there's so many like really good quotes in Rogue One. So there's like really tiny moments that I'm like, oh, but I also love this, and I also love this. But and a scene in its entirety probably has to be Chirrut when he fights all those people on, is it Jeddah?
Yeah, in the city.
Yes, in the city. Daredevil is like my favorite Marvel property. So the Daredevil fight vibes that gave, I was all about it. Like, obviously it's the first, but he's so in tune with listening and being aware of the force around him that the way he fought, it had major Daredevil vibes. And a very, very long time ago when I was a kid, I used to watch a lot more like Japanese cinema. And so some of the fighting styles, it was like a combination of all these things that I loved. So I really love that scene.
Nice.
And he's just so like calm and collected about it too. Like when he fights, there's no anger, there's no rage. It's just like, this is a thing that needs to be done. And I love that in that scene.
Very nice. Okay. X-Corp?
Yeah, my favorite sequence is that whole thing, like the battle, and then you get that interaction with K2SO where she shoots the other security droid.
Yeah.
Did you know that wasn't me? Yes.
Yes.
And then it leads into Chirrut. It's really that whole sequence for me. It's probably my favorite sequence out of the entire movie.
Yeah, that's okay. So that's one of my top ones. I did. I mean, you guys have some good ones. So, Chirrut when he fought all the stormtroopers with the staff. I'm like, how in the hell does a blind man who's not force sensitive or who's not a Jedi do this to stormtroopers? And it clears them out. Like, holy crap! So that was a good scene. The one you mentioned too, Expert Gamer Skills. I that's how you see a droid portray emotion because he was like shocked. Like, I've never seen his expression didn't change. It's like this is like holy crap.
Like
so,
and it's Donnie Yen. So if you look at a lot of Donnie Yen's work, that's like a lot of how that's how a lot of his fight scenes go. Like in Ip Man or anything else. Like he really has that about him.
Yeah, Donnie Yen he's amazing. Like he does IP now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm telling you, I'm bad with names. But so yeah, there's that one. Of course, seeing Darth Vader, of course, you know, that was always awesome. I was shocked. It was just like a whole bunch of surprises, like the cameos and everything. That's really got me going. Like when I first saw Tarkin, I was like, wait, didn't that guy die?
Yes.
Didn't the original actor? Didn't he like rest in peace? Like didn't he pass? Like how old is he? I was looking like, wait a minute, something's not right here. And I was like, oh, they had to use CGI. And I was like, just like, oh, that's cool. So just seeing that stuff, and of course the Vader scene. Don't choke on your aspirations. You know that was always a great dad joke out there. I mean, the evil Darth Vader dad. Of course. But my favorite that gave me chills. The hallway scene. I'll leave it at that. All right. Let's see what some of the people in chat say. Like Rogue One has seemed darker than usual. True, it did seem darker than usual. Here, Chosen Pumpkin says that one. Yes, absolutely. It did seem darker than usual. And I think that's it was a good thing. You know, it wasn't even it was like, okay, cool. It was gleam. It was a suicide mission all throughout the out. Like there was no, hey, yay, this is a warm and fuzzy. No, it was and you wanted something different to happen, but it's like, nope, this is it.
That's one of the reasons Rogue One is pretty high up there in my Star Wars rankings, because the Skywalker saga is very good versus evil, and I mean, it's not technically happy, but you're kind of focused on the good guys, and the good guys are always painted as very much the good guys. Rogue One, just about everybody's gray. There isn't black and white in Rogue One, which it's a war movie. Mm-hmm. War, whether or not there's a good or a bad guy, good people do bad things. And people who maybe are part of the bad guys aren't necessarily 100% bad. They may be doing good things. So I really liked it. Was really interesting from a character perspective, because it wasn't, you had to really think about it like, well, in the talking points later, I know we're going to talk a little about one of Cassian's choices.
Yeah.
But, with Cassian, Saw, these are characters that are making some choices that normally we're used to the bad guy making, and it makes it so much more interesting to see. So I love that it was a bit darker. It was a little less, we tend to say Star Wars is for the kids, and I feel like this is the first Star Wars property, not counting the books and comic books, but the first visual Star Wars property that it's like, yeah, this one, the kids can watch it, but it's not really for the kids. It's a little rough, but it's because it's real.
I agree 100% on that one. No, yeah, I mean, just that was like, I think that's what appealed to a lot of adults when it came to Star Wars. I mean, yeah, like you said, everybody said, "Hey, it's Star Wars for kids." Star Wars is not for kids, but it caters to more of the hopefulness and innocence of kids, and like, oh yeah, the flashiness and all that stuff. But this one's like, yeah, this was like, you had to follow it because it wasn't like, oh, let me see the lightsabers pull out and the hero comes and save you. It was like, nah, man. Like a couple of, yeah, it was, yeah. So you're on point on that one. Yes, I agree 100%. What else? Feels like bands of brothers. Good. Yeah, that's a different, interesting perspective. Yeah, I can see that one. Yes, I'm one with the Force. The Force is one with me. Yes. Did the rebels or the Empire have life insurance? No, they did not. If they did have it, Jake from State Farm was not able to help.
Yeah. It's like all the people who say that like they shouldn't have blown up the Death Star. I'm like, bro, they blew up a planet for no reason.
Yeah. Right.
Like they literally blew up Alderaan, and they were planning on doing it again and again and again. So it's like,
yeah, not exactly. It was gonna do it was a flex. That's all it was. Hey, we're gonna blow you up if you don't give us what we want. You don't listen. So, or you comply. So Adams asks, was the Death Star complete in Rogue One? It had just became complete at the end. Yeah. They tested the weapon out in the middle of it to show Tarkin what can be done. And then it's okay, we'll finish it up so we can get this going.
No, it was done. It was done. Like that was Krennic's whole thing. Like we completed it, and then Tarkin wanted the demonstration. He's like, well, I want to show the Emperor, and Tarkin was like, no, you're going to show it to me, and that's what's going to happen. But no, it was done, and then because even the hyperspace and everything, the hyperspace drive and everything else on it was working.
That's right. They moved it at the end towards the end. So, okay, yeah.
To
blow the planet up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they don't actually destroy any planets. Pep pointed this out to me, and I rewatched it today. Both of those shots are single reactor ignitions.
At the end, they didn't blow a planet up?
Nope. That's a single reactor ignition.
Really?
Yeah. So if you watch it, like I said, I had to watch it again today to prepare for this. So the first part is they say a single reactor ignition. They blow up the city, and of course it blows up like, it's like dropping 50 nuclear bombs, and then they do it again, and right before they fire on Scarif, it's another. Tarkin says a single reactor ignition, target the base.
All right, keep talking, man. So I'm gonna check something out. I'm gonna see if I can pull up on YouTube so we can walk. Hey, why not watch it? Yeah. I don't think we'll copyright strike or anything like that. I don't know.
Krennic is just like doomed to middle management. Like this. That's like his whole thing. This whole movie is he just wants to be noticed by the big boss, and Tarkin just won't let it happen. And he's just trying to move up, and it just doesn't happen. He's like forever middle management.
And the thing that I find funny, and I didn't put it in here, but like the thing about Krennic is he goes to Vader, and like if you have you read the comics, the Vader comics at all?
I haven't gotten around to those yet. No.
So it's a minor spoiler. So
it's okay.
They're having trouble on Geonosis, and Vader shows up, and Krennic's like, "Oh well, this and that," and I think Tarkin's behind me. He's like, "Listen, I don't care about you or Tarkin. I serve the Emperor and the Empire, and I don't care." So it's funny because this is later, because obviously because Krennic's dead, and he shows up at Vader's castle, and he's like, I don't care about you or what you want. is the weapon ready? That's all I care about.
No, absolutely. So why we got this up? Let's see. So this is the end of Rogue One, like when they're about the what you said, the single reactor shot. Like that just looks so pretty to be so deadly.
See, and I wanted to talk about this too. The one thing we're missing from this, but that I would have put in here is I would have put Krennic's POV in there.
Yeah,
like we needed a POV shot from Krennic so that he's actually looking at the thing he created, destroying him.
That's crazy. You're right, man.
Disney, hire me if you're listening. I can't write a movie, but I give you really cool ideas.
This film is so pretty. It's so ridiculously pretty.
Really
like you can watch the whole movie and like freeze frame so many moments where like freeze frame, gorgeous, freeze frame, another picture, like
yeah,
just.
I enjoy. So I went into the theater, and everyone was telling me how good this movie is. My expectations were too high for this movie. I enjoyed this way more my second watch through.
I think I was fortunate in that I did not have the opportunity to see it in the theater. And by the time I was able to see it, it's a weird thing to say I was fortunate about. I had heard just a lot of like the only thing good about it was Vader in the hallway. I got that was basically the feedback I got about it. And I'm like, okay. And it was probably early on in like creeping back into fandom spaces. So I had forgotten like how toxic fandom spaces can be. So I was like, oh wow, maybe this movie's bad. And then I saw it and I'm like, what's wrong with this? Yeah. Other than like, I didn't watch it again for a really long time because it was sad and I just didn't feel like crying. So it was a while before I had the second viewing, but I went in with like expectations that were only based on, the only thing good was Vader.
No, and that's not that's actually my least favorite scene of that movie.
Look, I understand why it's cool. Like, yeah. Pretty glitter sticks doing the thing. Vader, I know that's what we love. And the power and everything else. But to me, it was like, we've seen cool lightsaber stuff. Like, that's not new. It was a cool, hey, this is nice connective tissue to A New Hope.
Yes.
I loved it for that. But there was so much else about the film that I liked that, like, I didn't put it in my top scenes. I totally get why it is a favorite, but to say like that was the only thing worth seeing in the movie, I was just like, I can only assume that you didn't watch the rest of the movie.
I agree with you on that one. I mean, no, to say that this is the only thing that you can say that is a good scene, that's ridiculous. The movie overall was a good movie. It was a great movie.
Like I said, like everyone I talked to who had seen it that I knew, everyone was like, "Oh, it's the best movie since Empire." This, that, the other thing, and I was like, "That's high praise." And then I went and saw it. And I'm like, "This isn't anything like any other Star Wars movie." So I came out of the theater feeling really weird about it. I'm glad I watched it again, and this is the reason I wanted to do this episode, because everybody loves this movie and I couldn't understand it until I watched it a second time.
We were interacting with very different people.
Well, I also don't listen to random strangers on the internet. Like, I just, which is good. I talk to people I know who have similar tastes to me, and they all said that. And then I went and saw it and I'm like, this but I was gonna say about the hallway scene. So if it was me, I would have left the hallway scene out. And I would give Vader his own film or show. Because, like, if you want to demonstrate Vader's raw power, there's so much to pull through now from the comics that this scene is literally just fan service. And, like, everybody loves it. But then whenever they do fan service anywhere else in Star Wars, everybody cries about it. I'm like, pick a side. Pick a side. Like, that's the thing about this fandom is they'll criticize one thing and then praise this thing over here for the exact same thing. It's like, no, you get to pick a side. You can't.
Yeah, I think like there's nothing wrong with fan service when it is done right.
No.
Like that is the point. When you make a huge franchise that millions of people love, you want to keep them coming. And if they are coming for, thing A, you have to continue that. So fan service exists for a reason. When it's empty fan service, it's stupid. But that's the thing, is it's like it wasn't empty in this movie. It totally served its purpose. I actually think I wouldn't say I prefer, but I was more impacted by Vader in I'm assuming it was a Bacta tank that he was in.
Yeah.
Like to see him like that. So I don't know. Have you guys played Vader Immortal?
I have not. I don't have an Oculus yet.
If you have a friend that has an Oculus,
it
is like I'm not I usually don't care about the villains in the story. Like I am not a villain fangirl. There's nothing wrong with. I'm always looking for like the good-hearted soul. Like that's what I'm drawn to. So Vader, I could really like for a long time I could care less. Vader Immortal though, it's like to be in the game, and that's the thing is you see him in his whatever it is where he lives, Mustafar, and there's the whole like that scene felt very much like being in Vader Immortal. Because you see him I don't know where it's supposed to fall in the timeline, but where you see him at that moment, he's scary and imposing, but there's also a scene where you see him like kind of still mourning over his loss of Padme.
Yeah, you definitely like the Vader comics. I like you definitely would like the Vader comics.
It makes him so much more interesting than just big scary breathing man. Yeah. That and that's like him in the Bacta tank. I love that because we see a moment of yes, he's this big, strong, amazing, scary villain, but also in some ways he's very fragile. And I loved that the movie gave us both sides of just a taste of it. Like we only get very little because it's not about him, but I loved that. I thought that scene was really smart putting that in there.
I agree. And the fact that I really wasn't expecting to even see him in there. And then I was like, oh, it makes sense because these were the rebels that got a hold of the Death Star blueprints and all that stuff. I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense now. And just the fact that they, like you said, they tied everything into the New Hope. I was like, I think that was more of like you can call it I'll call it a fan service, but it was more like a little love letter too, a little love note. Like, here you go, here's a little something that you want, and here's what Vader can do. We're not gonna give you everything. A lot of people was asking for that. Like, we just want a Vader movie. And here's something he can do on the screen. That's it. So I get both sides. I get where you're coming from. Of like, it being a fan service as well as like it's a perfect tie-in. And like I was like, oh, that was really well done. The tie-in for it, part to the New Hope, and then you saw Leia. I'm like, oh. I said, okay, cool. So I know my brother over here, he would have left it out, like you said. I totally get that. And that's the great thing about our community and just this. Like, we have different opinions, we have different takes on it, and it's still Star Wars, still beautiful. So yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. What else?
So how do we feel about that opening scene with Lyra? Because I have thoughts.
The opening scene? Oh, like with the whole Krennic and going to
yeah.
That's.
Did you want to start with your thoughts?
I mean, if you. So this, like I said, this movie was so ridiculously hyped before I saw it, and then I went and saw it, and I'm like, wait a minute, because this scene for me, I almost walked out of the theater because now, granted, when did this come out? It was like 2015 or 2016, right?
When it came out?
Yeah.
I want to say 16.
I think it was 2016. So my son had just turned 2, and I'm sitting there like, there is no fucking way. Like, I put myself in that position. I'm like, there's no fucking way. If they're coming for my wife, and she's given me a chance to get out, I'm taking my kid and I'm getting the fuck out of there. I'm not leaving him with some guy. Like, it doesn't matter who it is. And I know my wife would do the same thing. So I'm like, this is like, it was. Everyone said how real this movie is, and I'm just thinking like, no, there's no way. There's no way that a parent would do that.
Yes and no. Depends on the situation. So I don't think that I understand where you're coming from with that one, because like I'd rather have full control over like protecting my child, but at the same time, just so also like, hey, he was asking where's your wife, where's the kid, like who are you here with? He was grilling him already. He's like, I'm here myself, or no, and he's already asking about his wife. He knew he had a wife. Like, where's your girl? But I don't think he knew they had a kid.
Well, no, they knew he had a wife and kid, but at the same time, like, they had the perfect chance to get away because they didn't find Jen and they were looking for her.
Yeah, but here's the thing: they will use it as torture. For the Empire, it's like, okay, well, we're going to use something for leverage. Like, if you won't give us what we want, guess what? We'll just hold your kid and child and wife as hostage, and if you don't comply, that's torture. Shit, that's the Empire. They gonna do that. You already know that.
Right.
Look at the Emperor. Look at Palpatine. He was like, when he found out about Luke and everything's like, oh yeah, get that fool, get Skywalker. You gotta do something. And Vader already knew. He's like, okay, but I'm not gonna make this nothing about Vader. So like that, no. So. But yeah, I understand. I mean, as a parent too, I'm like, I don't want somebody just randomly. I don't know how good they knew Saul.
Saul was already off kilter, like at the end of Order 66.
But not everyone had that opinion about him, and I think that's the key with what her character did is, like. Do I relate to that decision? Absolutely not. I've told my husband, someone breaks in the house and comes for us, I'm grabbing the children and you're on your own. I love you, but bye. Like, they're my priority and I'm gone. However, I believe they had known Saul for a while. I think Saul was the one who actually moved them to that planet. So they did have an established relationship with him. And at that point, he was already a pretty extreme dude. So, and they obviously were friends and tight with him, so they didn't have a problem with that, at least not to a huge extent, enough that they already had a plan in place that he would be the one to run to. So to me, like what I took from that was it was one of two things from Lyra's point of view. One, she might have been sick of running, and she might have been like, this is my chance to have my family back, not just me and my daughter, not just, whatever. If I can take that shot and take Krennic out, it's done. Also, if she was, part of, I always forget what they're called at that point, because he was the Resistance, but he was kind of like.
He called his organization the Partisans. Okay.
So if she, regardless of what her husband was doing, she may have kind of seen herself as part of that. And if she saw herself as part of that too, you have to think in that. And I think that's part of what this movie does. It purposely makes you have to think about uncomfortable things people do in extreme situations. So if she kind of sympathized more with how the Partisans were handling things, that might have been almost like to her, like, this is an opportunity and I can't let that opportunity pass. I have an opportunity to do something that makes a difference. Do I agree with the decision? No, absolutely not. But from a character motivation standpoint, totally can see how she would make that decision. It falls in line, I think, with what we keep seeing throughout the movie. We keep being put in these uncomfortable positions where we have to think, well, that's normally the bad guy thing to do, to abandon your child and, to go kill somebody. But in this case, well, it's not the bad guy. So why is this happening?
Right.
No, you. True.
Which segues into our next talking point perfectly. Did Andor have to shoot the informant?
So when you sent this talking point over, I think you had phrased it, did he need to? And I was like, well, need is a strong word. But again, from a strategy standpoint, that guy was already like freaking out. So you knew if the stormtroopers actually took him in, he was going to spill whatever information he had like that. Like, it wasn't going to take any crazy torture. He would have just said everything. And that was too big of a risk. And we don't know what extent, but we do know that Cassian has done bad things because he didn't hesitate.
No.
He did it in a very kind way. He, did the nice little comfort thing and then took him out and then was gone. But I mean, as kind as you can be when you're taking someone out. But yeah, so technically no, but from a strategic standpoint, yeah, absolutely. If he hadn't, the rest of the movie would not have happened because that guy would have told, and that would have been the end of that. We wouldn't have had A New Hope.
Okay.
He was a squiller.
he was so freaked out, and he was talking to his friend, so you knew he wouldn't. That was not someone who was going to withstand torture.
That's fair. I think he could have, I don't know, done something else. My whole thing is, my whole thing with that is, like, word's going to get out that this guy who, because he knew the pilot, he knew some other people. My whole thing is, if word gets out that the rebel is killing their informants, like, who's going to work with you?
How would anyone know, though? It was an alley with dead stormtroopers and a dead rebel. What are you going to assume when you see that alley? They shot each other.
That's a setup.
Okay.
No, nobody was going to go home and say, it was there was nobody around to tell on Cassian. So I'm sure if it had been the case where he wasn't in a space where it would have been easy for him to do it without being seen, then that would have been a factor. But the way it was all set up, and again, I think he's probably done stuff like that before. And so he knew what to look for and how to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's implied that the Rebel Alliance prior to this was not the kind of people you really even wanted to be involved with.
No.
Because like the way we see it in a New Hope is you really only see Mon Mothma and Admiral Akbar and the old man whose name I can't remember. But like when you look at this, like the Rebel Alliance isn't a united thing. You have factions. You have people who, much like the Republic Senate, are looking out for themselves and not the galaxy as a whole. And you have that guy who's giving Cassian orders, who's like, "No, we're gonna do it this way."
No, yeah, I mean, everything is. It's kind of like everyone has the same goal, but they have different paths about getting it, and that's fine. That's life in general. It's like, hey, we all want to be free. We all want to do what we got to do. We don't want to be under the rule under this damn dictator. And some people like by any means necessary. Some people like, no, not that any means necessary. No, by any means necessary. Well, you sure? Yeah, well, you do your thing. I'm gonna do my thing, and then we'll meet up in the middle. It's like one of those. Like, okay, cool. So, I mean, but yeah, I get what you're saying about that. But yeah, my thought is, yeah, who should I would shot the shit out of the shit too. I'm like, nah, lose lips, pink chips, and you gotta go. You are panicking.
And to your point, there's factions because people don't agree on how to accomplish anything. And again, this movie makes us uncomfortable because it makes us think about, well, who's right? A lot of movies, like we use Black Panther as an example. You got Killmonger and you got Princess Nakia.
Are you talking about Shuri, his sister?
No, not the sister. I think I'm probably not saying it right.
I haven't seen it in a while.
Who's Sausage?
No, in Black Panther, the princess that T'Challa
had
a thing with. She and Killmonger have the same goals.
Mm-hmm.
They want the same things, but they go about it in a different way. Now, it's a Marvel movie, so Killmonger, even though his goals are not bad, we're gonna get he's bad guy. No, you're not. You can't like him, but his goal is still the same. It's not a bad goal. This movie, when you have the different rebels doing things, instead of just seeing, Mon Mothma or Senator Bale, you see
F in the chat for Bail Organa. F in the chat, please.
I love him so much. But we see like that kind of image in the movies, which makes us feel very much like we're rooting for the good guys because they do things in a very particular way. But the rebels are a lot more than that. And this movie doesn't necessarily tell you these guys are bad because they're doing it a different way. And so, seeing those different, they are the different factions exist, and those different factions accomplished a lot, which is uncomfortable.
Yes,
it is. Okay. Let's hit some of the comments real fast. What we got? Nothing. Okay. Oh, here's a good one. I think Lara was written a couple of times. To be honest, I think she was supposed to be a former Jedi. Yeah. No, I think everybody thought so because they saw it's what they thought was a kyber crystal on the necklace. So.
Yeah. No, it is definitely a kyber crystal. So, in the comics, she was basically Galen's research assistant. She was constantly sending him samples so he could do his research. And I just read all these comics like last week.
No, it's all good. Oh, you were reading the Vader comics?
Yes.
Oh yeah, it's good, bro. I'm hell yeah. I think I gotta pick mine up tomorrow.
Yeah, I got the Comixology Unlimited so I could read them.
Oh, nice. Okay, so for the next one, should Chirrut have been a Jedi? Thoughts?
Not like I have an opinion about it or anything. No, because the Jedis are not the end all be all of the Force. I was so happy to see the Force in a different way that wasn't about, councils and training and everything else. And the way that, now I don't know because I haven't read the novelization. I haven't had time to read the books surrounding Rogue One. So I don't know if they give clarity on what Chirrut's deal is when it comes to the Force. I do know, I think his staff is made from Uneti wood. And, so his connection to the Force obviously is very strong.
What is Uneti wood?
So the Uneti tree is a Force. I don't know what you call it, but it's a Force tree, basically. I can't remember what it was in, but the only reason I know about it is because Poe Dameron and his mom, Charbert, are some of my favorite characters in Star Wars. And Luke Skywalker gave Shara a Uneti tree. And so I have this headcanon that Poe's piloting skills are at the tier that they are because he's actually Force sensitive, having grown up at the base of a Uneti tree because it was gifted to his parents by Luke Skywalker. Little total off topic, but yeah,
good.
it's a force. It's an important
Great.
tree when it comes to the force, and his staff is made from that wood.
Have either of you played the old Star Wars trading card game?
I know.
Oh, see, so it's not canon, obviously, but everyone had like a force ability rating, and so like, and as new sets came out, they all got stronger. But like Han's rating was always like almost force sensitive. Like that's how they explain why A, he's so lucky, and B, he's a good pilot because I think the thing that I like about Chirrut is it opens up that little doorway to where you're force sensitive, but it's a one-way conversation. Because with a Jedi or anyone who's a force user, it's a two-way street. The force talks to you, you can talk back to the force. But with Chirrut and Poe, and I think even Hera, like honestly, like it's because Hera is the best pilot, hands down, in anything we've seen. There's a comic book panel where she is remotely piloting 5+ X-wings, like, and she's responsible for helping these pilots get home. And her commanding officer is like, "Wait, how many ships are you piloting?" And she's like, "I don't know, 5, 6. Does it matter?" So I just like I think there's that little doorway there where we need to explore force lore more.
And
Star Wars.
that's the thing is like, so the force, it is in and around everything. And I think, like prequel era, whether or not you like the midichlorian explanation, people have this idea of like each individual have like possessing a certain amount of the force and then being able to have certain abilities in the force. But I think with Chirrut, it wasn't so much what he had in him. It was his ability to listen to and tap into the energy of everything around him. And that takes a certain amount of openness and humility. And that's something a lot of characters, even Jedi, lack throughout the stories, is that openness and that humility. I think that's part of why Rey picks up things as quickly as she does, because she is so desperate to connect with anything that she's like, oh, okay, force is everywhere. Force, okay, I'm listening. Like she wasn't trying as hard to like do something specific. And Chirrut to me is like just the perfect example of just like, I'm just gonna listen. And because of that, that's why like he can do the things that he can do. And it's not, so I mean, I guess you would call that being force sensitive, but then I think that opens up the idea that anyone can be force sensitive, but you have to open yourself up to it, and you have to have that humility and the right motive. Like Chirrut didn't seem like he was ever looking for power. He wasn't looking to wield it against someone or hold it over somebody. He was a protector.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, and he believed in the force. It's just more like almost like the wills, because they were really thinking about exploring that and talking about that in Rogue One too. But it's it's a whole different thing. That'll just mix everything up. So they like not being doing that. But no, yeah, he I like what you said about that, and he believed in the force and knows, and all that stuff like that. He wasn't force sensitive, like how they describe it, everything, but he was, because the force flows to everybody. Because, like you're saying, like it shows that people can be force sensitive without being force endowed. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Being a force wielder. Yeah. There you go. Being a force wielder, you can actually be force sensitive. I mean, technically, you think about it, everyone who said I got a bad feeling about this was force sensitive in some way. Because you're like, oh, well, that's a gut feeling. That's the force flowing through you. It's what's it called? Intuitive. So
and he can feel Jin's kyber crystal before like through a crowd of people.
Yeah, her necklace was hidden.
Yeah, it's under her shirt.
They made a point of making sure you knew that she's like, how do you know I'm wearing a necklace?
Yeah.
And he could. So, like I said, I think he talks about. And I don't have it down here, but he, like, in that scene where he knows what Cassian's about to do, like, Cassian doesn't mention it. So, I mean, the Force is speaking to him, and he's got the sensitivity to listen to it. And like I said, I want them to explore that gap a little more, because it, like, the card game is Legends, but like, I think there's something there.
No, we'll see. And I maintain that anything that is Legends technically might exist in the universe. These are the stories that are being passed down in universe. These are the stories that Jin maybe grew up hearing. These are the stories that Rey grew up hearing. So, like all stories that get passed down, they start with an element of truth. And then there's exaggerations. And I think, like, people who are really into the EU that's now Legends, or any of the games that were Legends, you can still kind of consider that stuff as, some of it just might be how we can think about these things that we don't know about yet. And I think the fact that they rebranded as Legends is a really exciting opportunity, because maybe they'll bring some of that stuff in. There's a Legends thing with what we're talking about, how the Force kind of flows through everything. And we, like, maybe a lore master like Element or Chaco can talk about this at some point, because I don't remember it completely because I have mom brain. But there are these, like, floofy creatures that I don't remember the names of, but they're in Legends. In the Darth Bane trilogy, when Darth Xana is a child, one of the reasons she goes dark is because the Jedi kill this floofy creature that she had befriended when she was alone in the woods. And that floofy creature thing, it's able to read that Force energy, and it flies around and like gives comforting thoughts to people who need it. And then when the Sith kind of get all crazy, their thoughts start going crazy. And so the Jedi think that there's something wrong with these floofs, and they start killing the floofs. Floof is not their actual name.
I like the floofs.
But they look like floofs.
And
it's the one, that's why I love Darth Xana, because I'm like, she goes bad because they killed her floof. I would be very upset about that too. But it's another one of those, the Force flowing through, and here is a creature that connects in a different way. But their whole thing was they were comforters. So again, it's like, I feel like the Force, when it flows like that, it's not about wielding it. It's about allowing it to do what it needs to do. And the type of personality that generally is going to allow for that tends to be the ones that are the protectors and the comforters.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. That makes sense.
Highly recommend the floofs.
Hey, I'm calling the floofs from now on. That's like, I don't care if I'm calling them or not.
They're in the Bane trilogy, and they're in there's a comic series run, Jedi vs. Sith, that is a great run for, like, an intro to the floofs and Xana and Bane and all of that. I mean, the floofs are just one small part, but obviously I was rather focused on the floofs, so.
I love the floofs. We love the floofs. All right, cool. Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. What else? So next question would be, does this film do Saw Gerrera justice? I would say, actually, it kind of redeems him and gives him more of a humane look compared to what he was revered as or looked upon, or I should say our point of view of it from Clone Wars and all that stuff. He's real hardened from the first time we saw him with the sister. He was more softened, like more understanding. But when I feel his sister died, he was like, F them kids. I'm done. About any means necessary. So I mean, but yeah, I mean, even in the beginning, he was like, "I'm still gonna do by any means necessary to get the information I need and sacrifice things." But yeah, I mean, Amber, explore.
I feel like Rogue One, you're kind of at the point where I feel like and this is just my take. I feel like he kind of finally has a realization of how much all of this fighting and, he's doing everything to the extreme, the toll it's taken. I mean, even when Jin shows up, you can see the softness of this man who's like, I've thought about you every day. She was like a daughter to him. She was mad that he left her behind, but he was doing it to protect her. But in like a moment later, he's like, you came to kill me. So he's kind of losing it. Like
he's lost it completely.
But instead of continuing down that path, like he has like the Batman moment of like, do you die a hero or do you continue living to become a villain? Like he hits that. To me, it's like that's where he hits that crossroad of, if I continue, what am I going to become? And I feel like we kind of get a little bit, and I don't know if this was the intent, but it's kind of like comparing to Vader. Saw's missing limbs. He's on the breathing apparatus. Like he's partway there physically, and he's got to make a choice. Like Anakin thought he was, fighting for something good. He was fighting to save Padme, but he let his hunger for power and other things push him past a point, to where he was fighting with Padme at the end. So Saul kind of hits that same point. He's there. Is Jin going to kill me? And all, he's having that same moment. And instead of choosing to continue down that Vader-esque path, he's like, I'm out. Here's the thing. Go do what you got to do. But I need to be done, because if I keep going, it's going to be a dark place. So right. In that respect, I think it did do him justice, because his intent was good. The way he went about things may not have always been right, but his intent was good. And by going out then, he could go out seen as some kind of hero, because he was the reason that they got the plans that they needed, or part of the reason.
Right. Because we see him, the last time we see him canonically is, I think is it in Rebels or is it in Fallen Order? Because when we see him in Fallen Order, he's starting to go down that road. Like he doesn't trust anybody. He doesn't know. He doesn't know he's doing the right thing. Like he's willing to sacrifice the Wookiees to burn down that factory. And then we see him in Rebels, and he's willing to take out Ezra and Sabine. Like no questions asked, just ready to do it. So by the point we see him in Rogue One, he's gone. Like the Saw that was fighting for the right things, he's taking the same approach as the Empire by this point. Like the ends justify the means. And I do think that maybe you're right. Like it is an apt comparison to Anakin, because like he's starting to go down that road.
I can't. Yeah, I want to say no, but at the same time, you're kind of right. But at the same time, I'm like, but what he? You know what? You might be right.
And I think
the only thing is that he doesn't have the same amount of power,
right,
at his disposal.
And I think that it's like this is there to show that, much like Anakin, there's always a time to make the right choice, and the difference is like he doesn't double down nearly as hard as we see Anakin double down. Like Like every time Anakin's given an opportunity to do the right thing, he doesn't. Continuously. That comic scene with the crystal is it's just Anakin all over again. Like you have the choice. Like the Force is showing you can do the right thing. Nah, it's too hard. So I don't want to do that.
And I think to Depaul's choice, or to his point, he doesn't have the same level of power as Anakin ever did. So that could have been a factor. Like, we're giving him credit for the right choice. Would he have made that choice had he had that level of power at his disposal? We won't know. We can't say.
True.
But I could totally see where, well, would he have made the right choice if he felt there was more he could do, or if he had been so like wrapped up in his own look at what I can do? Because Anakin definitely was wrapped up in that. Would he have made the same choice? That I don't know.
And I get what you're saying. No, for sure. But I want to say, but that's not what I want to say. Is that from what we see in Rebels, Clone Wars, like he was extremist, and like when the bugs, and Rebels, he was beating the crap out. Like, show me where your home's at. Show me I'm like, whoa, chill. And even in Rogue One, he put that damn thing, the slug thing, whatever, into Rhodey's. And no, we go brain. Wait, this might hurt him. This might kill him. It might. But as long as we get what we want, that's kind of like Anakin. You're just a tool. A means to an end. That's it. So, yeah, I think that just because he didn't have the power that Anakin had, we're all righteous in our own mind until somebody sets that limit. So, yeah, damn, Amber over here. I'm an Amber. All right. So the next one is Borg Gullet. Who the hell is Borg Gullet?
That's that thing that Saul used to mess with Booty. Yeah.
Oh man.
He was wrong for that.
He was wrong.
That was when I was just like, no, I mean, that's straight up just torture. But again, it's making us think about, because Saw's end game is not the bad, like, this is not the person that we're supposed to be thinking you're the bad guy. We're going to him for the Death Star information. We're supposed to be rooting for his team, and he is torturing somebody. But the reality is that is what happens in revolutions and war. And like, it is messy. It is not black and white. So it's the same. It goes back to that. We're going to make you uncomfortable. I don't know if you guys were fans of Battlestar Galactica, the reboot. I don't know how many years back that was, 15 years or so. That series kind of toyed with that because obviously you're rooting for the humans versus the Cylons, but as the movie goes on, there are things that the humans do when they are now in kind of a subservient role that are the things that we associate with terrorism and terrible things. And it's like, but these are the guys we're rooting for. And it makes you, just makes you stop and think about things are often not black and white.
Yeah.
And that Borg Gullet moment to me, like, you don't torture people. Like, I know what for me is right and wrong, but when you're looking at it from the perspective of this war that we've kind of all been watching through the Skywalker saga, it's giving you this other perspective of, there was some stuff going on the good guy side that was definitely not good guy stuff.
Yeah.
And it was ugly and creepy and scary. I did not like Borg Gullet. I would not like a plush Borg Gullet. That was not a toy opportunity.
It reminded me of a bootleg Force mind probe. I was like, no, we'll do it our way. It's like instead of like forcing it and just like pulling it out of you, we're gonna do it our way. And this is
people talk about Bib Fortuna. That was the thing from this movie. I blocked that out of my mind. Like that was because Bodhi came to them. He showed them the hologram, and they're like, "Oh, we found this on him." It's like because not only
I gave it to you.
Because Saw's thing is like he's a little tapped. I think his men are like actually afraid of this guy.
Oh, Saw?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they are.
So they're trying to like get the deflection off of them, and then he tortures poor.
They're trying to please him. Like no, yeah, here's everything you want. We don't want no troubles. No, I get it. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, we found this out. No, you didn't. Like he came here. Like this the whole reason he's here. And then Borgullet happens. It's like you might go crazy, but I'm gonna know whether or not you're telling the truth. And then you find out he's not lying, and you lock him in a cell anyway. Like,
see, it's just messed up.
And it did mess him up too. Like he was in the cell just like incoherent. And then, when they start talking about him being a pilot and they want him to be involved in the thing, because all Bodhi wants to atone for what he was a part of. And it's almost like that snapped him back. Like, it wasn't enough to turn over the plans. He wanted to do everything he could to make up for what he was a part of, even if he was just somebody's chauffeur or moving cargo. He wanted to do better.
Bodhi's seen some shit. He's like, I gotta make up for this. No, yeah. And you can imagine like being a part of mafia and having to do a couple of things like that, and like, hey, you got that baby over there, you gotta take him out. That's so and so's papa or kid. So that shows if you're serious, and like you don't mess with kids. Or like I'm not saying that he did, but he probably had to do some bad stuff. It's like you gotta tell him stuff. Like, no, I gotta do this. So you're right. You're on point. All right. So the infamous question: how do you feel about the Vader scene? I'm not gonna talk about this one. Let y'all go.
It was pretty.
Yeah.
I don't hate the scene, and absolutely no shade to anyone who is like, if it's your favorite scene, I totally get it. Cause that scene was very very Star Wars, like Star Wars that you grew up with, lightsabers. We don't get that through basically the whole movie. So like coming to that movie for like the Star Wars of your childhood, you were watching for a while, I think, until you got that. So I definitely think it served its purpose, and it was pretty and well done. It's just not my favorite scene, but I like character stuff, and that's not really a dialogue heavy or character development heavy thing. I'm just gonna come in, take out a bunch of people. And it's a great bad guy moment. And like I said, I'm not big on the bad guys. I'm not, generally not a big villain person. So it's like, it was a super cool Vader moment. I will give it that. And it had pretty glitter sticks.
Yeah, I feel a lot of the same way. My problem with that scene is it doesn't add anything to Vader that we aren't already like aware of. Like we know that he's capable of this.
I think it depends. I think it depends on what you're coming into Rogue One having watched, if or read, or if you didn't watch, if all you watch is the Skywalker saga and that's it. I think there is like this moment of how did we go from burnt to a crisp Anakin to what we have, everyone being scared of, I can choke you from across the room, dude. Like, what happened in between. Like, at what point did he become that scary? And for people who are strictly like the classic movie and that's it, I think that from that aspect, it was good, because it was good to show just how scary he was and why he would intimidate people in the original trilogy. Because as powerful as Anakin was, no one knew that's who it was anyway, so they wouldn't have made that connection that, hey, well, this was that powerful dude that survived being burnt to a crisp. There's no connection there. So he's just some random guy who, you know, walks around in his big flowy cape. So this, you know, it's like, you know, a lot of people have some pretty cool outfits. That doesn't really tell me anything about how scary he is. So that moment, I think, was a good, like, this is why this person is so intimidating in the original trilogy, because he can do this. And obviously without a bit of hesitation, because he does not hesitate in that hallway.
No, it's on. And it's just, for me, it's one of those things where that was put in deliberately for the audience. And like I said, there was more of what I wanted from this movie than a scene with Vader showing how cool Vader is, because you already know how cool Vader is. Like, he's like, Vader's always been my favorite villain, because and it's because of there's always the threat that Vader can do more. That's what makes Vader so scary in the original trilogy, is because he isn't that guy that we see in the hallway, to me. Like, there's the if I push this guy, he'll become that guy in the hallway. It's like anyone watch Burn Notice? When Michael has they captured that agent, and he's like, the threat of violence is always worse than the actual violence.
But the threat of violence is only impressive if they know what you're capable of.
Yes.
And I think that's what that scene, that's what makes it so that original trilogy Vader can just walk into a room and that's enough. That's enough because obviously, like, at least when Krennic goes in, when he's in, like, coming out of the back to tank thing, he doesn't really seem all that nervous about being in the presence of Vader. And that kind of, like, that threw me at first, because I was like, dude, that's Vader. But then again, he was just, like, naked in a tank, so that's not very intimidating. But when we see him in the original trilogy, like, the minute he steps into a room, people are, like, ready to wet themselves. So there had to be a reason that the threat was, so I think, like, that's the story that they had heard. They're like, oh, did you hear about what he did on that ship?
Yeah, I think they needed to explore, because when we first meet Vader on Tantive 4, the first time he's ever on screen, you're like, who is this guy? And he's just like, he's the guy that doesn't do anything other than lift up a rebel and throw him out the room. And then we see that Tarkin is in charge of Vader. And so the relationship they needed to explore was that triangle between Vader and Krennic and Tarkin, because Tarkin and Krennic are like that much separation. They're like this, and Vader was purposely put below them to piss off Vader. So
I do think exploring the Tarkin Vader thing is interesting, because that always kind of blew my mind with the original trilogy, is that it was like, that's the one person that didn't, Tarkin. Why could Tarkin hold his leash? What was it? What did the Emperor say or do that made that okay? Because we know Vader didn't, he had to be a willing participant.
Well, yes and no.
The working
that's actually
relationship
explored more than the comics.
The working relationship.
I need to read the comics on that one.
the working relationship between Vader and Palpatine, they're not friends. They're not friends. Vader is pissed off.
Which makes
They
sense.
can't stand each other, but they respect each other.
Vader, well, yeah, and Vader doesn't respect Palpatine. He respects his power.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. I'll think you're talking about Tarkin.
Vader respects Tarkin, and Tarkin respects Vader. Vader understands that Tarkin is vital to the Empire, and that if Vader's going to take over like he wants to, Tarkin is loyal to the Empire, and like there's that whole thing in the comics. But like I said, it's getting to this point. The reason that Krennic's not afraid of Vader is because Vader and Krennic are kind of almost on the same level, and they don't explain that at all. And if you don't like, that's one of the things about this movie and why I like it watching it the second time after reading the comics is because you need that context to understand why Krennic's not shitting himself on Mustafar. Because without that, like the first time I watched him, like why is he whining to Vader like Vader's gonna do something for this guy? And then you read the comics, you're like, oh, like they needed to tease that out a little more.
Yeah, and see, here's the thing. The only thing about this is another thing. I think they put that scene in there about the whole Vader scene. Is this before Rogue One? People start really think, well, we know Vader's the big bad from the original trilogies. We know Anakin turns into Vader, or is Vader coming because of the dark side. But we never saw what Vader can do. We know what Anakin can do as a Jedi and his skills, but we never saw what Vader. We saw him fight Luke Skywalker, an untrained a Jedi or a Padawan who was then became a Jedi Knight, and then got defeated. But we never saw Vader let loose. And that's what I think that was like. Just like, oh, this, yes, here we go. That's that little love letter, and then to tie into A New Hope. So, because I read it in a lot of places, we never they wanted a rated R Vader film. They want to see Vader let loose. The first time we actually saw Vader let loose was in Rebels.
Yeah. Ooh. Rebels is so good. Watching this makes me want to watch Rebels again, honestly.
And I was like, holy Nike, that's what he can do. This man just lifted up 2 chicken walkers with one hand with the fourth. Like, get that off of me. Fighting. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, so that's why I think it was like, okay, the Vader scene would have more of an impact, because it was like, oh, this is what he can do. We're seeing Vader letting loose some, and this not even fully letting loose. So that's the whole thing. Oh wow, that's the whole thing between Vader and the whole Vader scene and like that. So I'm like, and not really knowing the importance or how badass Vader was or how powerful he was, and the whole difference of the power level between Tarkin and Vader and Krennic.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, oh, what the hell? It's like, okay. So it's just that dynamic. And to put Tarkin above Vader, that was a jab at Vader. Of course, not Emperor. No, sit in your place. I'm going to stew on this and really piss you off. Yes, you're one of the most powerful beings in the freaking universe, but you got this little human over you. So let him pull your choke chain a little bit.
I do like that we got the "be careful not to choke on your aspirations" line, because that felt so Anakin. I mean, I'm not one of those people who think Anakin and Vader are separate. They are the same person, but they're, when we see Vader in the original trilogy, he is very just Vader at that point. We don't see the Anakin personality stuff for good reason, obviously, but I love seeing the Anakin come out, and I felt like that line was sassy Anakin. Like
we get little pieces though. If you watch the OT, like one of my favorite lines from the OT is, "I find your lack of faith disturbing." Like it's like, oh, my religion's a joke to you? Okay. Let's see what it can really do. And the guy's like, and Tarkin's like, come on, bro. He might be an asshole, but we need him.
Yeah.
Like, and so we do get little pieces of the Anakin in the OT.
We just didn't know we were getting pieces of Anakin at that point.
Yeah.
But
right.
And Vader's not the focus at all of the original trilogy, so there's not a lot of opportunity for him to do that. It's like when Luke's hiding on the high ground and Vader's like, most impressive. It's like, oh yeah, did Obi-Wan tell you about that?
This makes sense.
But we don't know that, and Luke doesn't know that, but Vader remembers.
No, you're right. Vader
so like a lot of the stuff we get from Vader in the OT is actually carried back. You just have to really pay attention because we get so little of it because Vader's not the focus of those movies.
Yeah, you're right, and because they tried to make Vader very mysterious.
Yeah,
in the original OT, because even though George didn't know 100% complete what he wanted to do with Vader, but we know he wanted to be the big bad until we saw his master. Like, oh, somebody more powerful than Vader. Holy crap! But it was just more mysterious. So strategically, he did that, but he didn't know what he wanted to do with Vader. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, all right, cool. But yeah, so the whole Anakin did start trickling into it. It made sense. Everything played out. It was nice how they did everything. So yeah. Let's get some of these chats real fast. So Luke explains the Force perfectly in The Last Jedi. Yes, he does. Yes. Yes.
That's right.
Amber.
I love it.
TikTok. Flus for life.
You gotta love the floofs. The floofs are amazing.
All right. One has one of the best characters. Best Lion, Dark Knight. Yes. This is the question. Whatever happened to this is talking about Saul? Whatever happened to his home of Onderon after the Galactic Civil War?
I'm pretty sure it's still around.
Yeah.
Because they go there in the Bad Batch, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So it's under Imperial occupation.
Onderon is still there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's under Imperial occupation, and the partisans are like getting ready to get off world. But yeah, that's like in the first. Is that the first episode?
The first episode
of Bad Batch, like we see Onderon.
Oh yeah. I believe so.
So yeah, watch Bad Batch if you haven't.
I will. If Saul had the power to, yeah. Oh yeah, he would have. That's why he was actually looking for the super plants. He was looking for the Death Star so he can a super weapon so he can use it against them. Yes, absolutely. Brody did not deserve that. No, not true.
I just rewatched the entire thing like a couple weeks ago.
See,
I binged it. It's great.
We bring people together here at the Cantina. Gotcha. Okay. Borg was the only thing I didn't like about Rogue One. Immediately, it took me a couple of viewings to realize he used the Force to keep the door closed to trap the rebels. Okay, I'm easily entertained and was focused on aren't we all?
I will never criticize anyone for liking I love it too. I mean, I love my pretty laser swords. So mine needs to charge apparently, but I'm all about the pew pew and the laser swords. So I don't want anyone to think that I was like, oh, disappointed that we had lightsabers. I'm always for the lightsaber battles.
Hey Amber, can you do me a favor? Can you reach behind you and get Baba Fook? I gotta see this little thing.
Oh,
Expo, can you do his voice, please?
I don't do a Babu Frick voice.
Oh, it talks.
I think he does, but you know, I have children, and so they like to play with the toys that are for me.
Gotcha.
So sometimes, which is why my lightsaber currently needs to be charged. Our last power outage, because we live kind of towards the country, so sometimes like the slightest storm and we'll lose power. And the last power outage, we basically just had lightsaber battles until the power came back on.
Nice.
But that means that mine, they're like chibi plastic ones I got from the thrift shop, are all working fine, but mine needs to be charged.
Yeah, mine are.
But it is a beautiful one. Master Allen Level Up Light.
Nice.
Just a little quick plug there. His sabers are wonderful.
Very good.
You guys can hit up my the Conspiracy Cantina link for a lightsaber. There's a reason mine are in that closet back there, because I have a 3 and a 6-year-old who cannot use them unsupervised. Because trust me, those things hurt.
Yeah. Oh, I got hit several times during the power outage battle, and it did not feel good. But I have 2 boys. I am used to getting beat up. It's
Yeah.
All right. Oh, okay. So, next question is: would the film have been improved with Ian McDermott appearance? You think so?
personally, I say no. But I totally think that's totally a personal preference thing. Like, I don't necessarily think it would have been bad, but I don't feel like we needed him. And I feel like his presence in the other movies, part of like what makes him so scary is that we don't know it. Like, we don't see him in that kind of, I mean, I know we see him in the prequel trilogy, but he's more, yeah, we don't like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm not against him being in it, but it would not have done anything for me had he been there. I would have been like, I would have pulled a Poe Dameron somehow. Palpatine is also in this movie. And, you know, I don't think it would have done much for me. But I am curious to hear how you, since you were nodding your head very enthusiastically, how you would have liked to have seen him incorporated, because it's all in how you incorporate him too.
The only reason I say that is because they tease him the entire movie. They're constantly the Emperor this, the Emperor that. When the Emperor gets here, when you see the Emperor, and I'm like, okay, yeah, the Emperor. It's not that I wanted him to be in the movie going in. It's that it's the Chekhov's gun thing. They talk about him. The Imperials are always talking about him, and then he's just not there.
If the other movies didn't exist, I would agree with you. But since they do, and we have seen him, I don't feel like he's a Chekhov's gun. I feel like I might have been down for like his laugh somewhere appropriate, but I still don't think like I would have wanted like physical him there.
But
I get what you're saying. They talk about him so much.
Is Ian McDermott is probably the best actor in Star Wars, in my humble opinion. Like, he's that guy for me. Like, other than Peter Cushing, who couldn't be in the movie, and Alec Guinness, like the thing for me that's so special about the original trilogy is all of these are Shakespearean actors. And so that's why I love the OT. It has the feeling of it's almost like you're watching a theater production. So for them to bring back Tarkin, to bring back Vader, to bring back Leia, to tease Ian McDermott the whole movie and not show him off, to me, feels like a miss.
And I think that's also why I wouldn't want him, because to me, Rogue One is not the theater piece that the Skywalker saga can be. because it is dirty and gritty and uncomfortable, I don't want it to have that. I don't want it to have that elevation, if that makes sense.
But how great would it have been to show the juxtaposition between what everyone else is dealing with him, like in his palace on Coruscant, and you just get that shot of this him in the lap of luxury pulling the strings, like.
I mean, when you say it like that, if like we get like a cutaway and he's like lounging back with his brandy snifter,
well, because he would just
jacket, like if you give me smoking jacket Palpatine with a brandy snifter, then I'm on board.
Because he's sitting there with his cowl up, and he's on that great, because he's always got a great throne room, and he's got the Praetorians on either side of him, and he's just like he's doing that voice that I cannot do justice to. And he's just pissed off at Krennic or Tarkin or any of them. Who ordered this unscheduled test of my new weapon? You've made time and allied the rebellion.
I want that scene. I just still don't want it in Rogue One, but I do want that. I appreciate the image that you have now conjured in my head.
Like I said, I absolutely like. I want more Ian McDiarmid in Star Wars before he's gone. That's just he to me is probably the best actor that's been in a Star Wars film. And like that's no shade to Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill, who was my entire childhood. Like if you could not swing a stick when I grew up without hitting Mark Hamill in something like the Joker, like everything, the Spider-Man cartoon that I've been watching.
His voice acting and then like small roles that he's taken as like the villain in different things, like where he just pops up and you're like, dude, that's Mark Hamill. He's ridiculous. But yeah, it's hard with all of these actors as they get older because it's like, you only have so much more time to see them on the screen. And when they're such amazing actors, it's like, I just want to see them again.
Yeah, it's like I want a Young Yoda show, but I don't want it if Frank Oz can't be involved. And that's not going to happen. I don't think.
Now I'm sad.
So I mean, there's just like Ian. There's only so much time left for Ian. There's only so much time left for Billy D. Williams. Of course, we lost Carrie Fisher, and we know Han's not coming back at all in any sense of the word. So like we have a few of these things for the old fans who I think it's time to give us something because we're the ones taking our kids to see these movies. You know what I mean?
I think that's the hard part, and I'm speaking about myself as an old.
I know it hurts to be an old fan because
I am at the age where like the original trilogy is what was out when I was a child, and at a certain point, like I think we are reaching the point where the nostalgia isn't going to be about the old original trilogy people anymore. It's going to be, it's going to be the Kenobi show. It's going to be the prequel trilogy people. It's going to be seeing Ewan McGregor again and people from that era. That's going to be the nostalgia because we have hit the level of old that we aren't necessarily just my kids are young, but there are friends of mine that are, the OT fans that are grandparents now.
Yeah.
So, we're not necessarily the parents taking our kids to the movies anymore. Some of us our kids are taking their kids to the movies. So it's going to be rough because you're not going to be the nostalgia and the attachment to those original actors who were amazing. It's like, we're going to have to just let it go. And it'll be sad, but that's why we rewatch the movies.
We just have so little time, and there's so much that I want to see.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. I love all of Star Wars. Like, there's no piece of it that I don't absolutely love, and I'm so glad I rewatched this today because I liked it so much better the second time. but like there's so much that I want to see. I want to see Ian. I want to see anything with Ian, and I want to see anything like the Lando show. Is what are they doing with that? Like, there's not a lot of time left for Billy D, and I want him to be involved in that in some way. I wanted, um, I wanted Harrison Ford to narrate Solo. I wanted that to be like the Princess Bride, where he's telling
The story.
he's telling Ray and Finn while they're going to I believe it's Takanda to see Maz. I wanted him telling that story, and I wanted parts where like Chewie, like they're in the scene and Chewie growls. He's like, "No, that is how it happened." No, it's not. And you hear the growl. It's like, "No, there were 4 of them." No, all right, fine. And like you see pieces of the scene change a little bit, like once or twice in the movie. Like I think that would have people would have gone to the movie theater a million times to see that. Like, that was a missed opportunity. But like I said, Harrison Ford doesn't like Star Wars, and he was done. Like, it's just a matter of fact. And I think part of it is he's mad he didn't sign the check for the contract for less pay for royalties. I think he's mad about it.
He strikes me as very, like, not to have a whole podcast about Harrison Ford, but he strikes me as a type. He's a very simple man. Like, there are certain things that he enjoys doing, and like, to him, this was like, when he took this, I really think it's just another movie and it's a paycheck, and this is not his thing. Like my dad is totally not Star Wars, sci-fi, fantasy, any of that. Like, cannot be. But my dad has that same kind of, just like, he likes what he likes and whatever else, just very matter of fact type. And Harrison Ford has always struck me as that same type, where it's like, it's a paycheck. And even when you hear interviews where like younger actors, like, or get all excited and asking him questions, and he's just so like, what's the interview with Mark Hamill at one point where he was like worried about something in a scene?
He was worried about the continuity. So
yes,
the compactor scene. There's a scene after that, and he's like, "Wait, my clothes and my hair are dry."
Yeah, what is that? And they're like, if they're looking at your hair, like, we've done something wrong. Kid. It's not that kind of movie. But I think that's why his character worked too, because Han Solo, I don't think was that far off from just being Harrison Ford.
So there's a story that I tell, and it's not mine. If you guys aren't following Lebawan Kenobi on TikTok, he met Harrison Ford at a con, and I think he was in his Obi-Wan cosplay, and he said to Harrison Ford, he goes, you can't make a living dressing up like a Jedi. And Harrison Ford says to him, "Tell that to Mark Hamill."
Sounds about right. That's like Oscar Isaac when he first, was getting ready for his Force Awakens role. He's going to be a pilot. And there's an interview where he talks about, how he's kind of geeking out. He grew up with Star Wars like everybody else, and was talking to Harrison Ford and like asking him for tips, because he figured, okay, Harrison Ford was a pilot in the movie. He also is an actual pilot in real life. So he's asking him questions, just, trying to engage with the guy. And he's just like, it's fake and it's in space. Like, like, I have no advice to give you. This isn't real. And it just made me laugh so much, because I'm like, I could totally see being in Oscar Isaac's shoes and being just like, so, like puppy dog excited, like, this is Harrison Ford and I need a reason to talk to him. Okay, piloting, that's common ground. Both our characters do it. He does in real life. And then to have Harrison Ford just to be like, it's fake and it's in space. You're acting, like, just act like
you can fly an X-Wing. It's fine.
Exactly. And I mean, it worked. Like, he did great as Poe Dameron, but that interview always cracks me up.
Yeah, like there's so much of Star Wars, and I'm so glad, and I know this is an unpopular opinion on the other side of the fandom, but I'm so glad that Disney has the property, because they have the resources to keep doing it.
Yep. They can afford to keep pouring money into it and give us new things. Oh, that's what episode of Visions is it? I have not finished. I've only watched, I think, 6 of the 9 so far. But there's an episode that I was like, oh, that is like Chirrut in Rogue One. There's a scene, maybe it was in the duel, or maybe it was the village. There's a scene where the character like just kind of walks through a battlefield of things happening, and like nothing even grazes him. He's just like cruising through.
That's the duel. That is my favorite episode, but that's just because I like really classic anime. Like
that style is gorgeous.
I love the samurai and ninja anime. Like so if you are you an anime fan? We haven't really talked about it.
I like the anime that I have seen, but I would not call myself an anime fan because my exposure to it is limited. So I enjoy what I have seen, but I have only seen like bits and pieces of things. So
my favorite anime of all time is a show called Trigun, and it's a spaghetti western in space, and it is amazing. If you like spaghetti westerns and you like space, go ahead and watch that.
Okay.
And if you liked The Duel, there's a movie that you can only find on DVD. It's called Ninja Scroll, but there is a series that I didn't know about on Crunchyroll. But do not watch Ninja Scroll with your kids.
Yeah, see, and that's part of where I'm stuck now is like if I'm going to watch something animated, it is generally going to need to be kid friendly, and that's always the hard part with like animes. Going, is this going to be one that is okay with the children or not? So
like, and I understand that like my house has been Smallfoot on a loop for like a month and a half. my 3-year-old's obsessed. It's got to be on the TV at all times. I know every word to that movie now, but yeah.
I do need to find more child-friendly anime that is interesting though, because my 12-year-old Netflix had a series that they put, I think it was Netflix put it out. I don't know what studio did it or whatever. It's called Eden.
I haven't seen it.
And he loved it. And I was like, okay, well, that would be cool to find more like to watch with him. But, you know, again, it's like trying to find something that is
Trigun and Cowboy Bebop are a little more mature, but they're not. He's 12. I see. I don't, and that's the thing. I don't know your kids, and I don't know what you allow them to watch. But so my 4 favorite anime are Trigun, Cowboy Bebop, Sayuki, and Noir in that order. And the thing I love about them, and I've been saying on TikTok, if you've been seeing any of my stuff, I think the perfect length for an anime is 26 episodes, and these are all 26 episodes.
That's good to know.
So
I'll have to write some of these down and check them out.
Yeah. So if we can get back to the topic at hand.
Yeah. Well, now that Depaul's back, I was like, well, we can go off on a slight tangent since he stepped away real quick.
So how do you guys feel about the CGI Tarkin and the CGI Leia?
I don't have a problem with CGI Tarkin. However, I didn't see it on the big screen, so I don't know how it looked on a movie screen. I watched Rogue One 3 times, and the first time I watched it on my TV, a lot of my viewing is on my phone after the kids go home. So on a small screen, Tarkin looked just fine. Like, I did not have a problem with it at all. Leia was kind of uncanny valley for me.
Yes.
And
yes.
I think that they should not have made the scene, and I'm sure part of the lighting was because the whole line is hope, but it should not have been brightly lit. And honestly, I think they would have benefited if they had kept her turned around for the line. Like if she had said hope away from the camera and then turned and you saw her face, because whenever they do that CGI stuff, if it is too brightly lit and they talk, that's when it looks especially messed up. And I think too, older characters, you can get away with more because the wrinkles and the age spots and everything kind of soften the look of the CGI, where if it is a young character that has a smooth face, it's like they look extra smooth. It's like someone face tuned them to death. And it's not, it's a little.
It looks like they're wearing too much foundation, is what it looks like. Yeah. So I will say I did see this in theaters, and I had the same reaction. Like, Tarkin looks amazing on the big screen. And I was gonna say, I think they manipulated it again, because like I said, I just watched it today, and I watched it on my my 4K TV, and she looks a lot better. I think they messed with it. I can't say for sure, but it looks a lot better than it did the first time I saw it.
I feel like they're getting better and better at that, so I wouldn't be surprised if they tweaked it.
Yeah, because I mean, Disney's known for tweaking stuff. They tweak stuff every now and again, and they just don't tell you.
It's fine.
Because they have the money to do it. I think they're going to tweak. I think they're going to tweak the Luke Skywalker stuff at the end of Mando, because they hired that guy. Whose name I really got to look up his name, because like I have a thing where I like to give credit to people, but yeah. Do you have any thoughts?
Say that again.
Do you have any thoughts about the CGI?
CGI Tarkin and Leia. So Tarkin, like I said, I kind of touched on it earlier, but the Tarkin CGI I was impressed. I was like, did they give him a facelift a little bit? Like, hey, look his face up. I was like, huh. I couldn't put my finger on it. I was like, and then I clicked on, like, no, he has to be. He looked like this when I was a kid. No, he has to be. He has to be gone. And when I realized, I was like, this is CGI. And I was like, okay, cool. So I was like, this must be some new CGI that they're messing with. So they haven't like perfected it. This is a motion sensor CGI, so it's a little bit different. I was like, okay, it makes sense. So I was pleased for what it gave us, and I'm pretty sure it'll get better and better and better more as they use it more and tweak everything. And yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that cost them $1 million just to do that.
No. You're lowballing it there.
That one scene.
No, like, how much did they spend on Leia? I want to say it's upwards of $10 million just to do Leia for that one scene.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. It costs that, and that wouldn't have been possible without Disney money.
That's crazy. So with Leia, I was like, okay, they better. But I got the warm fuzzies still, so I was all good.
But and like I was just saying, watch it again, because I think they tweaked it.
No, I'll watch it. I have no problem watching it again. No, yeah.
Like I said, I just watched it today, and it looked better than I remembered it, but I don't know if I'm misremembering it.
Gotcha. Okay. No, yeah, that's just my thoughts. I mean, it is what it was. I mean, I was like, okay. I knew what you were trying to portray, and I'm happy with it. You know, I mean, so yeah. Okay, so with that said, what the lie about the mission to Alderaan? Oh, why the lie about the mission to Alderaan when what's that one?
The Tantive 4.
Tantive 4 was at the Starfleet.
So yeah. What I'm getting at here is why would she bother lying about being on a diplomatic mission to Alderaan when like that ship was at Scarif? Like, it's one of those things that didn't make sense.
Do we know that Leia knew that Vader was where he was?
No, absolutely not.
So I mean, in her situation, there's two options: lie or tell the truth, and she wasn't about to tell the truth. So to me, it was like, well, yeah, of course she lied. Like, what were the options there? She couldn't be like, yeah, by the way, I was, right there.
But she knew the Death Star was there. Like, I don't know. It's just one of those little continuity errors that you get, and that leads back to my Vader scene. It's like, See,
so I'm, and I don't know. I guess I'm an optimist when it comes to movies. If there's something that seems like a continuity error, but we don't have all the facts, I never like to assume that it is a continuity error or a plot hole. And my brain automatically goes, how do I fill in this story? If we don't have all the, because absolutely throughout Star Wars, there are actual plot holes and actual continuity errors. But if we don't have all the information, I'm always like, what's the story in between? And then and then that's fun for me. I get to just, watch Star Wars in my head and fill in the blanks. And on that one, to me, it's just, well, she had two choices. And, even if she thought, well, maybe he was there and maybe he saw the ship, telling him the truth was of zero benefit to her, and lying and him knowing she was lying might have also been zero benefit, but it wasn't a for sure thing. So she went with the better odds. So she lied.
All right, I suppose it's one of those things that struck me as a little weird because, like I said, that whole Vader scene to me is a little off. But I know I'm in the minority on that one.
Right. So actually, that goes into these chats.
Now I have to ask you guys: do you have any favorite? There were a lot of I felt like lines in this movie that were very like, okay, that's really that's an impactful moment. Just that one line. Were there any lines that hit you that you were like, oh, I gotta sit and think about that for a second? I'm sorry, I was like Uno reverse.
You're right. Yeah, you did.
No, tell me.
No, it's okay. No, it's okay. I'm trying to think.
So what was yours?
Oh,
if we're gonna play that game.
There's a lot. So I like Jin and Cassian at different times. It's not at the same time. The line is said once from Jin, and then Cassian says this line that almost seems similar but different later. Jin tells Cassian that she's never had the luxury of a political opinion. And then later, Cassian tells her that he doesn't have the luxury of deciding when to care about something. And those two lines I thought were super interesting in like the whole dynamic of the two of them, of their motivations. I also think that it's interesting because we have a movie that for once the entire main cast is like that you're rooting for is very, very diverse. And the least diverse member, I mean, at least it's a woman, but she's in a position where she's basically saying I've never had the luxury of, having a political opinion, but Cassian kind of turned that around of her. I've never had the luxury of not having when I get to care about something, kind of putting her in like a place of privilege of, you may have been able to do that at a certain point in your life, but I've been fighting this battle since I was a child because that's what some of us have to do. And I just thought, that those perspectives I thought were really interesting, especially as they, end up being a team.
Absolutely.
So those two lines like really jumped out at me. And then the strongest stars have a heart of Kyber. You could take that a lot of ways. It could be a reference to the power of the Death Star, but it's also Jin's nickname from her father was Stardust. And the Kyber necklace and basically like it could also be giving her meaning because she kind of wasn't really looking to be involved with all of this. And she's told, early on this, the strongest heart or the strongest stars have a heart of Kyber. And I know there's others, but those were the ones that like really stood out to me.
Yeah, Yeah, there's a lot going on in this movie. I really liked the part where they're looking for the plans, and he's like, oh, and she just stops. She's done, and Cassian looks over for her, and he goes, well, what? And he goes, Project Stardust. That's it. Well, how do you know? Because it's me.
Yeah. And her nickname is Stardust because that's what she becomes.
Oh, sad.
It's so sad. And when Baze calls her little sister, I just about lose it.
Yeah,
Who?
that's good.
Baze, who is like Mr. Quiet tough guy through the whole thing, and then like they're all about to go off to their, basically they're all gonna die, but they don't know it yet. And he calls her little sister, and he's like, he's not the soft, he's not the one who's outwardly the soft guy.
Yeah.
And that whenever the tough guy is sweet, that always breaks me.
No, you're right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm still tripping up the Stardust comedies, man. She became Stardust.
I'm sorry.
I also like the rebellions are built on hope. Because everything, there is no hope in this movie. Like, really.
Well,
but
yes,
for them to find it.
But they're creating the hope.
Exactly.
The hope.
It's the Hamilton line. The what's a legacy? It's planting seeds in a garden that you'll never see.
Mm-hmm.
It's they are planting that legacy of hope, but they don't ever get to see it, which is why the movie makes me cry.
Oh.
Yeah, that's why for the longest time I had only seen it once. I really liked it, but I was like, I don't really feel like crying today. So like, I can't watch it.
I was about to quote The Elder, but you haven't seen it yet, so I won't.
No, I haven't. And I've heard that one's really, The Ninth Jedi is probably my current favorite, but I've heard that The Elder is really, really good too.
The Elder is the story of Anakin and Qui-Gon, and you will never change my mind.
That already makes me sad.
Depaul's over there like, what?
The Elder, I haven't seen that one, I don't think.
Oh, it's the second to last.
For what?
Star Wars Visions.
Oh, I've seen it.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
The old man one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the story of Anakin and Qui-Gon Jinn, and you will never change my mind.
I gotta rewatch it now. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not as deep as that one. No line really caught my attention. Like I said, I went in there not expecting anything. I was like, I'm going here to watch a Star Wars movie. Kind of like I learned my lesson not to expect stuff.
When I rewatch something that I really like, I kind of usually will rewatch it for something different each time. So one rewatch is just to focus on dialogue. One rewatch is just to focus on the visuals in this are stunning. The most planets you'll notice have towers. Towers are usually like a symbol of power and security. But just Yavin 4, where the rebels are, the rebels don't have a tower. They have a ziggurat pyramid kind of thing, which has always been a symbol of progress and moving forward. Mm-hmm. And I have to assume that's intentional that they did that. But those little tiny details, I love that stuff. But it does require watching it specifically to go, okay, right now I'm just going to watch it for the visuals. Right now I'm just going to watch it for the dialogue. Right now I'm just going to watch it for laser swords.
I will say this movie has the most natural dialogue of any of the Star Wars films.
Yeah.
None of these lines, none of these deliveries feel forced ever. No. I will say that for this movie. It has the most natural dialogue.
Okay.
I would agree.
Even Tarkin, even Vader, it feels so It feels so natural. It feels so real. Like you could. The dialogue in this movie is the first time I've watched a Star Wars film where I felt like I wasn't watching a production.
Okay. I agree. I concur. My dyad, yes. Some of these chats. We don't have mind him being. I think. Oh, it's talking about
Yeah, Ian
and Palpatine. I don't think we need. Okay, cool. We don't need to give him a new hope either. As long as it's mentioned, I think he's better in the background. Yes, that's what he did. Yes. I remember I found that out too. Want some more Hayden. He did a really good job as Anakin. Got so much hate. Boz looking at the ship explosion, level of acceptance. Yeah, that was powerful. First time hearing Vader says, "Be careful not to choke on your aspirations." I said out loud in the theater. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I said the same. Like, shut the hell up, corny ass. I love you.
That Anakin's ass.
Okay. And how extra is Vader? Like, just to get back
Vader's
to it.
So extra.
This is the one thing I point out. He's using the Force to make his cape flutter in the airlock.
That's Vader.
Like everyone talks about the TIE fighter in Rebels, but I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Like he's doing that to impress upon people that you don't mess with him. But this is like just for him.
Just for theatrics.
This is like because like there's some stormtroopers there, but like there's really nobody there, and he's just like just because I can.
Can you imagine stormtrooper? Hey man, how the fuck is his cape doing? just you're new here, right? Okay, yeah, just let him do his thing. Don't say anything, or he'll choke you'll find out firsthand. Just leave him alone.
Dude, he does this a lot.
Okay, so how do we feel about the lack of Bothans? Sorry.
I was laughing when I saw this question because I mean I get it, like we get the reference to them about how like lots of them died to bring it, and I think you can still get away with not putting them visually in there because they were spies. So spies usually run under the radar. Mm-hmm. So I figure us not seeing them is because they were doing their spy job really well. But when you look at the Legends design of them, I just started laughing because they're like these really like handsome lion-looking creatures. And anyone who follows me on TikTok knows how I feel about the Robin Hood cartoon from Disney. And Fox was like, that was like a childhood crush. The fox from Robin Hood. And then it made me think of the king that was away at war was like this really like, beautiful lion creature. And so I was like, well, maybe I would have liked if they were in there. Child me probably would have liked if we had seen them if they were like their Legends design. But I don't think that that's a continuity issue or anything since they were spies. So I feel like they would have been doing their business where nobody noticed them. But it might have been cool to like have reference to them.
Just to see one. Because I mean, we get the little sprinkle of Harrison Dula just by name.
But see, does that mean that it could be possible that Bothans are not a species?
Yeah, it could be.
Could it be a title?
It could be a planet. It could be anything. It's Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't remember like other than what they do, like canonically, I'm not sure. Like Legends is one thing, but since it's just Legends, maybe those were just what people said about them because nobody ever saw them, so they imagined them to be.
Yeah, because if you're a spy, you don't want to be a lion that stands out.
Right.
Sure. True. Okay. So, I mean, I guess I don't really feel about the lack of Bothans. I mean, maybe there was a lot of Bothans. We just didn't see them. They was just that damn good.
They were
Like y'all said.
underwater.
Bothans were a factor. Only a factor for the second Death Star. No, that was the first one.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to rewatch the OT. I haven't watched it in a while.
Yeah, I would love to have enough time to do like a mass marathon. I thought about doing the marathon in the theater. Like, how do you do? That's like a 14, 15 hour. How? Like you
They
get
were
some
like
blankets on
Fabio lions.
I might have to do some viewing on Scener. I think
I don't get it.
just have a TikTok live Scener watch party for some Star Wars because I haven't done that in a while.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can watch Disney Plus stuff on Scener though. I don't know. I actually know you can because Straw Hat's doing What If, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Well, that was one hell of a session, and man, the Bothans.
I threw that in there sort of as a joke.
I'm glad that it was okay that it made me laugh. I was like, is this a serious question? Because it was kind of funny.
No.
Once
Like
again,
it does make sense from a serious question standpoint because of what gets said, but it made me laugh.
it's also one of the things that the fanboys complained about. There was no Bothans in the movie. We've got to have a Bothans. I'm like, bro, just relax. It's okay. You know how much money that costs?
Right?
Next time I'm going to ask them why they wanted their Fabio hot lion creatures, and maybe then they'll stop asking.
I like. So the Borg Gullet thing is like insane, but like I think every Star Wars movie should have at least one of those things in it. Like a crazy creature you haven't seen before. Like what's the name of the guy in Rise of Skywalker with all the teeth? That dude.
Oh, I don't remember the name.
I don't remember his name either, but
With the weird eyes?
Yeah.
I know you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, that guy. Like, I think we should just like. I love just seeing that like alien you only see one time, like in. Well, I mean, in the OT, it's just like every movie is something new, but I love the little introductions of all that stuff.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't know if
And the one thing I've been enjoying about Visions is the guy that alien species with the three eyes is in like every episode.
the alien species with 3 eyes.
Yeah, they have like those three really large eyes, and they have like the snout like mouth. I don't know the name of them. I don't like. That's the hardest part about reading Star Wars novels for me, is because I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of what all the species look like, so I'm constantly having to look it up.
Hold on. Talking about this right here?
Let's see if that's it.
See if I can make this bigger.
Nope.
This one?
Nope. It's the best look you get at it is in Lop and Ocho, where she's running through the alleyway in the market, and he's sitting on like a crate.
And you talking about this thing?
Nope. Oh, that's the guy from Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy.
That looks like a nightmare from like Hellraiser.
Yeah, but it's cool.
All these fools look like from Hellraiser.
Dave said he thinks they're from Malastare.
Okay.
Let me look that up in this tab here.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I didn't. Yeah. See, You be into the details, like the teeth, man. Okay. I mean, I go detailed too. I'm like, but man. All right, cool. So, with all that said about not the Rice Skywalker, the Rogue One. Closing thoughts about Rogue One and what we've gone over. Amber.
I think for anyone who doesn't like the movie, I think it's definitely one of those ones you have to rewatch and give it another try. Mm-hmm. But it isn't for everyone because it is intentionally uncomfortable. And I think that there is beauty in sitting in your discomfort. I think a lot of people would benefit. When you feel uncomfortable, it generally means that's something you need to sit with and figure out why you're uncomfortable. Like in general in life, when you feel something makes you feel not quite like, you sit with that and figure out why. And I think that's why, I don't know what happened. There he is. And I think that's why for some people, Rogue One's a little bit rough because of that discomfort. But I think it's healthy to sit in that discomfort and figure out why. And there's a lot of beauty in that discomfort. And honestly, it's a gorgeous film. It's just shot by shot is beautiful. So I'm a big fan, and I think people should give it a chance if they aren't really feeling it.
I 100% agree. Like I said, this film upon the second viewing is excellent. And if you are a person who's been reading the comics, especially the Vader comics, rewatch this movie because it makes it make a ton more sense. And what happened was I accidentally hit the wrong button. I put in the private chat a web link, Depaul. Gotcha. It will show you the species I'm talking about.
Those was in Return of Jedi.
Yeah. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I completely agree with Amber. Like every shot of this movie is gorgeous. Like you can.
Sorry, you say it is gorgeous, and then that popped up on the screen. So.
Wow.
So yeah, you can watch every scene of this movie. It's absolutely stunning. Like I said, the amount of effort that went into this movie, the amount of character development in this movie is absolutely excellent. And like I said, this is the Star Wars film after rewatching it with the best dialogue. If you don't like Star Wars dialogue, then this is the movie for you.
Yeah. If you don't like Star Wars dialogue?
Yeah, if you don't like the dialogue in Star Wars, then watch this movie because this is the best one.
Yeah, it has some good dialogue and just totally different track. So I agree. I mean, it's unique in its own way. Amber?
Yes.
Amber White.
Yeah, I gave my thoughts. It's your turn.
Closing thoughts. Well, closing thoughts about Rogue One. It's an amazing Star Wars film in general. I just liked how it bridged the gap between a gap that we didn't realize really needed, and they did it with class and didn't cheapen it by constantly talking about Jedi or the hokey religions and making so many cameos. It was the ones that had to be in there was in there, and they actually created new characters for this. So the fact that it was able to do that, I mean, it ranks up there as one of the best Star Wars movies out there. That for a standalone Star Wars movie, without having to have a series as called anthology.
Anthology? Is that
anthology? There you go. Thank you. See, that's why. Anthology. The movie, it did what it was supposed to do, and I appreciate it. And I was worried, as I said before, when they announced it, I'm like, what the hell? And it turned out to be amazing. So I'll be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they took a line from Rogue One and made a whole nother freaking trilogy. Like, oh, this one line, we're gonna do a whole little spinoff.
They're gonna do some stuff. I mean, I'm after rewatching this, I'm actually excited to see Diego Luna in the Cassian story. Kenobi's coming. I have to see Corky Kenobi again. I'm gonna die on that hill with Julia. I want to see Corky as the 11th brother, but that's just me.
Yeah, I'm still not super juiced or excited about Cassian, but I'm gonna watch it. You know.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, great movie, great Star Wars film. The most dialogue there is in any, or I should say, original dialogue in a Star Wars film that just connects everything. And yeah, it was very well put together and done and written, and I like it. And it's super entertaining, and it's worth a rewatch or two or three. So looking forward, it set the bar for future Star Wars films that's not tied to the Jedi or Sith and all that stuff. It actually set the bar for it, so that's nice. So looking forward for more films like this, more stories like this, and yeah.
I think the next best one is going to be the Rogue One story that they're working on.
The what?
I'm sorry, the Rogue Squadron story.
Yeah, I believe that's going to
That's going to be. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for all the properties, but like I want to go back to the theater and watch Star Wars again.
Okay.
It's been too long.
Yeah, it has. I agree. All right, so fellas and lady, or lady and fella, not fellas, lady and fella. Amber, well said, Amber. And laugh. All right, guys. So we're going 2.5 hours, and once again, it's always a good time in the cantina. First of all, we want to thank everybody for showing up and showing the support. We really do appreciate you guys. Without you guys, we wouldn't be here or doing this. You guys in the chat is what helps us keep going and just talk Star Wars. You're part of the community. You bring everything. You bring a life to the chat and to the stream. So thank you, chat. We do appreciate you guys. We love you guys for hanging out with us on the Cantina every bi-weekly Tuesday. Amber, Mama Amber, Star Wars TikTok Mama, we appreciate you. We will be having you on here again many more times coming in the future. Appreciate all of your insight and just your vast knowledge and just your perception around the writing, because we know that you're a writer. And just like that vast insight that you give and just real depth thinking, it's amazing. And it's not like you're being biased or anything like that. It's refreshing, super refreshing. So thank you. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep on bringing what you're bringing to the community, to the Cantina, of course. And yeah, thank you for being a guest on here and just like gracing us with your presence. I mean, appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you guys because it's always nice to have non-toxic spaces to talk about the things we love and not always agree about the things we love, and be able to share without having to agree with each other. And it's okay. Like, it's not a thing. And that's a valuable thing to have in the fandom. So I appreciate you guys for being a safe Star Wars space for all of us.
Yeah, I think it's important to have different opinions. It only makes our future better when we can respectfully disagree with each other and get different perspectives and bring those things to the table. Um, it's one of the reasons that people freaked out that the acolyte has a member of the writers room that's not a fan of Star Wars, and it's like, no, we need that. We need someone looking at this and saying, okay, does this work from a non-fan's perspective? That's how you get new fans.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, I agree, and because you got to keep that fresh mind. So no, you're on point, sir. So with that, guys, we do appreciate you. It's been a long one, and it's been a fun one, and I can't wait for the next one. There might be some changes coming towards the Cantina. Let you know. We'll keep you updated. Nothing bad. It's always for good. But it might be some schedule changes. No problem. Things, life happens. So just give you guys a heads up. The Cantina ain't going nowhere. It just might have to change some dates and like that. But yeah. So stay tuned for that. But thank you again for tuning in, everybody. We really do appreciate this. If you're catching the repeat, awesome. Thank you. Go ahead and comment. Let us know. And until the next one, may the force be with you. And
hold on, we forgot to remind everyone where we can find our lovely guest.
Oh. Yes, Amber, please let the people know at home and let us know as well where they can find you, where to find your great content, follow your amazing journey with Star Wars love and non-toxicity.
TikTok, I'm on there, Amber N Medina. And the only other place that I'm really even remotely active is Twitter. And there I am, Amber West.
Excellent. And xcoregamerskillz?
You can find me on TikTok or anywhere else as xcoregamerskillz. And I'm saving this to the end. I am starting to write a Young Yoda fan fiction. So if any of you want to be beta readers or editors, and you have the ability to do so, go ahead and DM me. And I have about a few paragraphs written. I just started doing it last night, but it's a story that I want to see, so I'm just going to do it myself.
That's the way to do it.
All right. Awesome. Good job. And you can find me on TikTok, the clock out, at Jedi Master Depaul, as my name says, and also on here bi-weekly at the Cantina with my co-host. Actually, I'm more his co-host. So
trust me, you do a lot for this channel
I
had no idea how to do. So it's definitely
it's a mutual admiration society in here.
Exactly. But yeah, you can find us here on bi-weekly at the Cantina, talking about Star Wars topics, movies, content, and just Star Wars stuff in general. We love creating a safe, friendly, and fun environment that all can have fun with and enjoy. So with that, think of everything. Yep. And we're good. So with that, may the force be with you. And until the next time.
Yep, for life.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys. Take care and be blessed.